therefore important to know both regulations to see if it's more one than the other. Now the floor to Mr. Cappiello from the National Council of Notaries. We're going to speak about the economic analysis and impact assessment of the EU law. And the function of the aim of this activity is to understand better why we get to some provisions at the end.
Good morning, everybody. This is the last intervention in English, just to balance a little bit the workload of the interpreters. All the others will speak in Italian, so it's just to be closer also to the participants connected with Zoom. So I would like to share with you some concepts of the impact assessment by the European Commission before proposing a new legislation. Let's say to understand why now notaries have to apply these regulations. Then I will make some consideration about this training. What is the idea behind this training? Why the European notaries decided to organize a seminar in Palermo, for instance. Unfortunately, we are not as expected, but let's say this seminar will be completely recorded and made available in streaming for all other participants who could not attend the seminar, Italians as well as foreign participants. There will be a platform at European level with all material you found on the internet website where you could exercise with an online form. So this was the first time we provided this kind of exercises before the training, and so now you can have a feedback from the speakers. So this was a little bit the questions we asked if you attended before this seminar. The majority of you included online participants said that they never attended a European seminar. This is good because the aim of this project is to involve as many notaries as possible, especially notaries who were never involved in this kind of training. Then we asked if you have an adequate level of knowledge to solve cross-border cases related to the regulations. As you could see, only part of you said that you have an adequate or sufficient level. This is why we have this training now. So what is the idea behind this training? Improve the knowledge. What we can do in one-day training, not much. We can give you an overview. But the idea is that you have to work alone after the training with material, maybe watching again some streaming or reading some handbooks that you can find also on the platform of European Notarial Network. What we can do in the long run. So the aim of this project is to collect all materials and video in one platform, so everybody can watch and exercise when he has time. So today, as I told you, in the morning we have basic principles, understanding the rationale. Then we go more specifically inside the main concept of the interplay between the EU regulations. In particular, Notary Crescimano will explain you this kind of interplay between the two regulations. And then Notary Salerno Cappiello will explain the relations between the private international law rules and issues connected with the EU regulation. In the afternoon, there are the discussions about case studies that you found on the internet. After the training, should be the permanent platform at the European level that can be used by all of you. Now, a step back, as Giovanni said, I take care at the National Council of Italian Notaries, especially of economic analysis of the law. And also before proposing a new regulation, there is always an impact assessment by the European Commission. Why they do this is to evaluate the impact of the law on citizens and society. How they do this? With a comparison of options. It's not just, let's say, ad hoc for this regulation. In general, the European Commission has a section on the website with the handbook called Better Regulation Toolbox that use the kind of method typical of economics. In this case, about regulations on property regimes, the analysis was mainly on demographic trend. Let's say the increasing of the percentage about international couples. As you can see at the time of this assessment, they noticed, an increase on the percentage of international couples, as well as registered partnerships. They took a cluster with Finland, France, Netherlands, Sweden, and they noticed that there is an increase also in the registered partnerships. So coming back to the questionnaire you filled in, we asked you if you encounter in your daily practice cases related to the EU succession regulation. So the majority of you said that you encounter at least one case within the field of this regulation, as well as the regulation on property regimes. So majority of you said they had at least one case falling within the scope of this regulation. We also asked you if you have contacts with other European countries. So the shape of the color on this map means if it's darker, you have more contact with these countries. So we can find out that you have more contacts in general. You notaries in Palermo with other connected notaries at international level, let's say Germany, France, Spain, Italy, Belgium, Austria are the most contacted countries. As concerns extra EU countries, you declared you have more contact with countries within this area, North America, England, China, and Australia. This may be because Maltese notaries, they have more contacts with the Commonwealth countries. So they answered online. So this is the result of their feedback. Okay, so this is an evidence that there is more and more correlation at international level between countries. So this is a kind of confirmation that the analysis made by the European Commission was correct. What are the criteria of the impact assessment? So they define objectives, then the options, then the effects. So you have to answer to the question, what are the effects of the option to reach this objective? Which criteria are behind the analysis? Basically, fundamental rights, social effects, financial costs, and economic effects. In the case of the property regimes regulations, the objectives were mainly this one: prevent parallel proceedings and application of different substantive laws, ensure choice of applicable law, recognition and enforcement of judgments and decisions, bringing all legal matters before the same court, know the applicable law in case of liquidation, and ensure compatibility with other EU rules. So now, before we saw the objectives, now the options. How can we solve? How can we reach these objectives? So we have mainly 6 options. We can cluster this option, according to me, I made this kind of reasoning in 3 clusters. So first 3 options are basically status quo and proposing something without changing the internal law. So status quo is, let's say, a pro forma option. Second option is to provide targeted information to citizens in order to inform them about the different kind of legislation on property regimes. Third option was to try to provide a standard uniform contract for marriage. Then you have option 4, and option 5 is kind of trying to harmonize law. So option 4, you want to harmonize law as concerns jurisdiction and recognition and enforcement of judgment. Option 5, you want to harmonize conflict law rules in order to facilitate the work of professionals and of legal professionals. Option 6 is just the combination of these 2 options, option 4 and option 5. And is exactly what we have now in the regulations of property regimes. Just a a quick information on how they practically do the, let's say, the analysis with score. They put in each column the objectives. Then in each row, you can find the options like this. So for each option, you can find the effect for each objective. So for instance, no effect, limited effect, positive effect. A way to quickly understand the best option is to assign 0 maybe to no effect, plus minus for a limited effect, and plus for positive effect, or you can assign 0, 1, 3. So if you can assign a score to each effect, let's say you can quickly see that the combination of option 4 and option 5 is the best option. So as Paul said before, we arrived to the simplification of jurisdiction rules and conflict law rules with this regulation applied in 18 EU member states with enhanced cooperation. There are some member states opting out of this regulation. You can see in the blue shape the countries that opted out, but they may join in the future. A quick consideration on the convention concluded between one or more member states and one or more third states, and conventions concluded at the time of the regulation between member states participating in the regulation. So in the first case, conventions continues to apply. In the second case, obviously, regulation should prevail. One exception is represented by the convention concluded between Denmark, Finland, Iceland, Norway, and Sweden, so Nordic countries. In this case, conventions between that party continues to apply. I come back every time to the question where you provided your answers. Did you ask for help in order to solve these cases related to the regulations? So about 30% said no. All the others said yes, we asked for help. For instance, I asked a colleague, or I asked a lawyer, or somebody used also the European Notarial Network platform. So apparently there is a need for help. One tool that you can use about information on foreign law on other countries on property regimes is a public website made available by the European Notarial Network project. You can find information in every language of the European member states about every member state. For instance, this is an example in Italian about Greece. But there is also an internet platform where you can freely register. Maybe now in the coffee break, also Gianmarco is, Dr. Garamone is working for the Bruxelles office of European Notaries. He can help you to register if you like. And you can create an inquiry to ask another, let's say, interlocutor of another member states about cross-border issues. Other thing that you can do is to check on this internet the regulation in an interactive way. Let's say you can click when you find the link to the interactive regulation. You have the menu on the sidebar on the left. For instance, you click on Article 26 and you have a pop-up with examples, comments, so and the reference to the recitals. You can find also handbooks on the property regimes, successions, regulations, with very simple and effective examples in every language. So a quick overview if you are interested in registering. When you find the homepage, so the web address is on the top, you have to click on this icon with a plus. Then they will ask you some information about your name and email. You have to make sure that you enter your email as indicated in the European Directory of Notaries. If you use a smartphone, so the graphic is compact, so you can find the menu on this button that you find on the top right corner. And that will pop up the same the same list, and you have to click on new account. It's also in Italian, so it's in every language. You can choose Italian, crea un nuovo account. Last, I concluded just last communication service, let's say, you have an evaluation questionnaire inside your folder. So this is a requirement by European Commission. Please, before leaving, just leave also your feedback at the desk. I thank you very much for your kind attention. And now we will have a pause. Abbiamo una pausa adesso e ritorniamo.
Coffee break now for 10 minutes. We'll resume in 10 minutes. Thank you.